Hello and welcome. Today we're going to take a grand tour of our cosmic neighborhood. We're starting right here in our own backyard to really get a feel for Earth's place in this huge, beautiful universe.
You know, it really is an amazing sight. When you look up at a clear night sky, it's so much more than just a few bright dots. At first you see one or two, and then before you know it, the whole sky is just filled with them. But what are we actually seeing up there?
So, what exactly are all those lights we're looking at? In this first part of our journey, let's try and decode that brilliant show happening in the night sky.
Okay, so the first term we got to know is celestial bodies. Just think of it as the big umbrella category for everything out there in space. The sun, the moon, the stars. Yep, everything shining up there falls under this one name.
Now, here's a really simple way to tell some of these celestial bodies apart. Stars, they're like their own little engines. They make their own heat and light, which is why they seem to twinkle. Planets, though, they don't make their own light. They're more like mirrors, just reflecting light from a star, like our sun, and that's why they have a more steady, constant glow.
So, if you stare up at the stars long enough, your brain starts to do something pretty cool. It connects the dots, right? It starts to see shapes. Well, those patterns are called constellations. For thousands of years, people have been looking up and creating these amazing pictures in the sky.
And these constellations weren't just for fun, they had a super practical use. Take the Saptarishi, for example, which you might know as the Big Dipper. For ancient travelers, this little group of stars was a game changer. They knew that if they followed its two pointer stars, they could always find the North Star, which, you guessed it, points directly north. Pretty clever, huh?
Okay, now let's zoom in from that wide-open night sky to the single most important celestial body for us, our very own star, the Sun.
The Sun is basically the boss of our solar family. It's right there in the center, this massive ball of incredibly hot gases. Its gravitational pull is so strong it holds our entire solar system together. And of course, it's the ultimate source of all the heat and light that makes life on our planet even possible.
So, if the sun is so crazy hot, why don't we just get fried? Well, the answer is in this number, 150 million kilometers. That huge distance acts like the perfect buffer, giving us just the right amount of the sun's energy to make our planet livable.
Now that we've got the sun firmly at the center, let's start our tour of the 8 planets that are constantly dancing around it. Welcome to our local cosmic neighborhood.
So how in the world do you remember the order of all the planets? Well, astronomers came up with a pretty handy little trick. The first letter of each word in this sentence lines up with a planet, starting from the one closest to the sun. So you get Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
And here's what that looks like in action. All 8 planets are traveling along these fixed, slightly stretched out paths called orbits. It's like a perfectly choreographed dance that keeps everything in order and prevents any cosmic collisions.
So what makes our home, planet number 3 from the sun, so special? Well, Earth is in what scientists call the Goldilocks zone. It's not too hot, not too cold, it's just right. Plus, we've got the key ingredients for life: liquid water and air that's full of oxygen. It's this incredibly delicate mix that makes it our perfect home. And here's a fun fact about our next-door neighbor, Venus. It's often called Earth's twin. But don't let that fool you. It's not because it's a nice place to live. It's actually scorching hot and toxic. Nope, it gets that nickname simply because it's almost the exact same size and shape as our own planet. But wait, it's not just the sun and the planets out there. Our solar system is also chock full of moons, cosmic rocks, and all sorts of other stuff. Let's check out these other inhabitants. Let's start with our closest companion, the Moon. It's Earth's one and only natural satellite, which is really just a fancy term for something that orbits a planet. And it's a big deal. Its gravity helps keep our planet from wobbling too much, and it controls the rhythm of our ocean's tides. Hey, remember that 150 million kilometer distance to the sun? Well, by comparison, the Moon is only about 384,400 kilometers away. It's practically in our backyard. And that closeness is exactly why it looks so big and bright in our sky.
You ever wonder why we only ever see one side of the moon? You know, the man in the moon? Well, it's because of a really cool cosmic coincidence. It just so happens that the moon spins on its axis in the exact same amount of time it takes to go around the Earth, so the same face is always turned toward us.
All right, if we head out past the inner, rocky planets, we run into the asteroid belt. Asteroids are basically a whole bunch of small rocky bodies that are also orbiting the sun, and most of them hang out in this big ring between Mars and Jupiter.
So what about shooting stars? You know, when you see a streak of light and make a wish? Those are actually meteoroids, little pieces of rock and dust floating around in space. When one of them hits Earth's atmosphere at super high speed, it burns up from the friction and creates that amazing flash of light we see.
Okay, we've had a nice tour of our solar system, but now it's time to zoom all the way out to see the really big picture.
This incredible band of light, that's the Milky Way. That's our home galaxy. It's a gigantic, swirling city made up of billions of stars. And our entire solar system, everything we've talked about so far, is just one tiny little speck inside of it.
And if that isn't mind-blowing enough, get this. The universe itself is made of millions, maybe billions of galaxies just like our Milky Way. It is so unbelievably vast that, honestly, scientists are still trying to wrap their heads around just how big it really is.
So let's end on this thought. You are on a planet, which is part of a solar system, which is a tiny part of a galaxy, which is just one of millions of galaxies in this massive universe. So how do you fit into that picture? It's pretty awe-inspiring, isn't it? Something to think about the next time you look up at the night sky.